All right, good morning. Today we are going to talk about how to multiply when we have a mixed number, and today we're going to look at a mixed number times a whole number. Um, so I'm going to give you one example problem here, and we're going to talk about two different ways to solve it, and then I am going to give you a problem for you to solve, and I would like you to either comment your answer onto this post like we've been doing, or if you're on Seesaw, go ahead and make a Seesaw post showing your work and then explaining how you got your answer. And I would really like you to do it step by step. So if you can record yourself talking through that problem, that would be awesome. Post it there and I'll get those approved and up later today. All right. So here we go. Here's our example problem. We're going to do 3 2/3 times 5. So if you remember, multiplication just means groups of. So if you think about what we're doing here, we're taking 3 2/3 and we have 5 groups of that. So if you think about our 5 groups, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of those equals 3 2/3. Okay, well, we could count those up. We could do repeated addition as a way to solve this. So if we counted the whole numbers, so each of these circles has a whole number of 3. So if I think about 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Okay, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I have 15 wholes. And then if I need to count up groups of 2/3, well, I can count up 5 groups of 2/3. And that's really just like counting by twos, if you remember, because we're just counting by the numerator. So 2/3 plus 2/3 gets me 4/3, plus 2 more thirds gets me 6/3, plus 2 more gets me 8/3, and plus 2 more gets me 10/3. Okay, now I'm going to go to a new page here. So we have 15 and 10/3. Okay, now we know this is not an incorrect answer. This is a correct answer, but it's not as pretty as what we would like. And that's because we have this improper fraction here. So if we would go to turn this improper 10/3 into a proper fraction, a couple ways we could do that. We could either count by threes until we get to 10 and then see what's left over, or we could turn this into a division problem, which is really doing the same thing, just using long division instead of counting by threes. But you could say, okay, how many times does 3 go into 10 without going over? Well, 3, 6, 9, so that's 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. I subtract that, I have 1 left over. So my answer up here becomes my whole number. My remainder is my numerator. And my divisor out here is my denominator. 3 1/3. Same as if you counted by threes, okay? 3, 6, 9, you have 3 wholes with 1 left over. So total, to change this into 3 1/3 and then add it to this, 15 plus 3 more wholes equals 18. And then I have to add the 1/3 on there. So what we could say is, going back to our original problem, 3 2/3 times 5 is 18 1/3. And that would be one way to solve it. Now, another way to solve this would be to break our problem into two different multiplication problems. We could take our whole number times our whole number, which would be 3 times 5. And my guess is a lot of you will like this because it's a little less work. And that's always good. We like to do less if we can. So 3 times 5, and then I would have to take my fraction 2/3 and multiply that by 5. And I'm going to go ahead and give my 5 a denominator of 1 now because we're going to need that in just a second when we multiply. So on the top, when I multiply 3 times 5, I get 15. And then down here, you might already know what we're going to get from what we did up here, because this 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3, This is the repeated addition version of this problem right here, 2/3 times 5. So on the top, 2 times 5 is 10. On the bottom, 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, and now we get back to this 15 and 10/3, same as what we got before. And now we know that when we simplify this, it's going to come out to 15 plus 3 1/3, which gets me the same answer as I got before, which would be 18 and 1/3. Okay, so feel free to go back and watch this as many times as you need to, but when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is solve the problem 2 3/4 times 4. And then again, comment your answer or make a post on Seesaw if you're on there. A lot of you are on there. And if you're not on Seesaw and you'd like to be, there's a video on our Google Classroom in the stream that shows what Seesaw is, shows you how to sign up for an account, and then goes through a couple of the basic things you can do on Seesaw. So feel free to check that out. But again, this problem right here, okay, work through it. Go back and look at the examples we did. Feel free to use either of those two strategies. And if you have a different strategy, that's great too. Make sure when you go through Seesaw you explain what that different strategy is so we can learn from you as well. And that's all for today.